Welcome to the Hustle and Homes podcast, where real estate meets relentless hustle.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Hustle and Homes. This is episode 9, and today we're talking about marketing and branding. The truth is, people don't just invest in your product or your deal, they invest in you, your story, your presence, and your consistency. The strongest brands aren't built on perfection, they're built on authenticity and clarity. So today we're breaking down what branding really is and how showing up as yourself is your biggest marketing advantage. So let's get into it. So what makes someone memorable in business? It's not the logo, not the colors. It's the feeling that they create, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's just, if you're going to brand something, you want to brand it around your personality, how you are. Don't try to, mimic other people's style. I mean, you can mimic their style a little bit, right? If you find it entertaining, that sort of thing. But I think really for us in real estate, we're really trying to be memorable. You want to come across as, something that triggers people's minds, right? Either he's informative, he's entertaining. Some people can go by just based on looks. Unfortunately, I don't have that advantage. So I definitely, I need to use my personality as much as possible to sort of get the point across. And yeah, and this whole realm is completely new to me because, it's not like I have a background in marketing and branding, social media, any of that kind of stuff. Like all I really had before starting this was LinkedIn. And that was basically just to find jobs and find contracts and keep in contact with some of my business contacts, where this is completely different mentality, right? And it's one thing that I really need to lock in on because it is important. Again, the whole process and finding the deals and finding the lenders and doing all that, obviously that's number one. That's going to be the stuff that makes you money. But as far as lead generation goes and outreach and building credibility and doing all that, the marketing aspect and the branding aspect really has a big impact on that.
See,
So,
I would say they pretty much go hand in hand because your brand is pretty much your reputation, right? So you could have a good deal, but if no one trusts you, then no one's going to fund it. So like branding is a story people tell about you when you're not in the room. And that's like, I love marketing and branding. That's one of my favorite things to do. And because you know what, you build a reputation. Like everyone knows that I'll help them when they need it. I show up, consistency. You with your, positive attitude, friendly. You're very approachable, which really shows well. I mean, that's why we got you as a co-host on here as well with me, because I knew that you'd be a great person to work with. And so far it's been awesome.
Yeah, it's, I guess that all goes hand in hand, right? It just, you have to really play to your strengths, right? And you have to not be afraid to put your face onto something, right? Because really that's building a lot of the credibility. I mean, you can have the best logo in the world, you can have the best, whatever, the best branding, the best words. It doesn't really matter, right? Really, people want to see a face to the name, right? So if you're not afraid to put your face out there and really show what you're doing and be open to get that criticism and that feedback and just go through the motions, right? I guess that's at least what I think anyways. That's one of the most important things.
Mm-hmm. The way I see it is branding is your identity, marketing is the megaphone, getting it out there. Have you done any yet marketing with your brand at all or no? With your logos?
Not really. Like I said, that's something I really need to focus in on, and I just need to get over that. It's really that mental hurdle is what it is, to just doing those little 15, 20-second little clips and throwing them out there, because if I see myself doing that and I replay, I'm like, man, that is so cringy. It's just, it's getting over that weirdness. And obviously that comes with time and just doing it and not really giving a shit about it afterwards. But yeah, that's one of the things that I sort of need to get over is just that whole mental block of, filming your little tidbits and throwing it out there. And then you have to watch it back. It's like, oh man, I look like an idiot right now. Like this is just, it's dumb, right? But really it isn't. Other people don't perceive it that way, right?
Yeah, first episode we did, that's how I felt rewatching it. I'm like, oh, this looks horrible. But it's funny when Ben does that accent. Fuck your fears.
Yeah.
When he talks about Aditya and just do it. Fuck your fears.
Well, and he does it, man. He does it. He's constantly posting every day.
Absolutely.
2 or 3 little posts, just throwing it out there. And really it's all a volume game, right? It's volume and consistency and just getting it out there. Because then people put a face to the brand and your message and what you're doing. And it just, like I said, it just builds that credibility. And eventually as you start getting bigger and people start noticing it, whatever you're interested in, right? Like for us, it's real estate investing and doing what we're doing, right, in the real estate market and the whole different markets and just the whole process behind it too, right? Getting deals and negotiating and finding lenders, that whole aspect. And there are a lot of people interested in it, right? You can see it's people, they want to make money, right? Everybody wants that dream of financial freedom, and it's just that that struggle to get there, which is a good thing with this podcast, with what we're doing, right? It's that beginning to end, right? That rags to riches, that zero to hero, that whole story that people like to see. And what it is, I mean, and Ben had mentioned this before, is he didn't do a good job of documenting his journey at the beginning, right? He was really just grinding away and getting it done and just pushing through it. Where if you did document all those pieces along the way, which is where we can sort of get ahead of the game on that, because we're starting out, right? We're still very new to it, that you have a lot more content, a lot more stuff to talk about, and you can just show it to people. Yeah, no, this is where I started, this is where I am, here's the work that I did to put into it. I put effort into all these different aspects to build the brand, and it does make it a lot more credible, right, than just you're or throwing it out to like a marketing company or something like that to kind of build it non-organically. Yeah, you can always throw money at it and get it done, right? And other people, they may do a good job, or I'm sure they will if you pay them for it, right? But it just doesn't seem as natural, right? It just seems overproduced, right? And it's just, for me anyways, I know the media that I consume and the podcasts and whatever I listen to, right? It's always better when it just seems more genuine.
And that's just it. As long as you're relatable, right? And that's the biggest thing, is you need people to relate to you. You need to be raw, real. And that's what I like about our podcast is we're not saying we're the best of the best. We're not saying that we're perfect. I mean, we're just struggling along, learning like everybody else. And that's where the relatable content comes. Because if you do appear to be flawless, then it just looks fake. And no one wants to be a part of that. No one will trust it, right? You see how people make so many retakes of certain videos just to get it to the perfect point. Like, I understand you don't want to have mistakes. Like, I had to restart the intro of this because I stuttered. Sure, exactly. But the other tough thing, though, is like you said, is knowing what to post, when to post it. Like for me, it's tough to keep up to because I got to post every single day. That's my goal. One post a day. Stay consistent with it. I got to do it on the Hustle page, do it on Bird Dog, but also help Bailey with hers on EXP. So, I mean, it is quite a bit of content to post, and you don't want to post the same thing on all pages. So you're trying to think of something new for each page, like, documenting your journey. I take a video of every single house I walk through. I record myself going through it, checking everything out. One, for content. Two, because when I go back home and I'm trying to, quote it all out, I can go back through and see is there any, damage here, how much hardware. Just like yesterday, I went driving for dollars for like 3 hours. I recorded quite a bit of content from that as well, which I got to edit and post because it's long videos, but
yeah, and that all takes time, right? That's the thing. It all takes time, and it's just, I guess it's just locking in and just getting it done and that consistency, right? And I think for me, like I'm consistent on making calls and pulling the leads and trying to find a deal. That whole social media thing is still very foreign to me, right? It feels off. Right. It just doesn't, it's not that it's something that I'm not good at, right? It's just, I just have to, like I said, I kind of have to get over that mental hurdle to just do it. Right. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. Right. But yeah, but it's going, in the end, I can see that it's going to benefit me. Right. One, posting, I guess, like boosting my own brand, right? Getting content under that. So people can understand what my mission is, what I'm looking to do, right? Principles of the company, that sort of thing, right? Getting that out there and then sort of cross promoting it to this, because I like the Hustle and Homes brand as well. I think we have something good going here, and it's genuine. And like I said, we're gonna have some merch coming out soon, which is cool, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. This is definitely more in your wheelhouse, right? This is something that you've been doing for a while. So I'm just trying to absorb as much as possible and just basically get it done, right? Because it's another aspect.
Well, you see, and that's why, like, I mean, when we first started with Ben, you watched everyone do their webinars. Was it Abby did her first one? I used to do TikTok quite a bit. I used to make videos and go live, and it was a lot of marketing that way. And I had about 20,000 followers. So on here, I thought, okay, well, if I got you and Santiago on here, it gets you used to, recording yourself and posting yourself. Even the little clips that we do cut, right? That's enough content. You don't have to make a video of yourself anyways. But back to the core principles. What are the core principles you want to be known for? Because for me, it's real estate, financial freedom, confidence, and growth. Those are the 3 principles I want to be, I guess, 4. I want to be known for. What about you?
Yeah, I think it's just the business message, right? Honesty, integrity. You do what you say, like transparency. You're not trying to hide anything. You're not trying to like sell anybody on something that you're not doing is what it is, right? You want to look back and do what you say, right? And really focus on that. And then just like consistency and drive. Just pushing forward through any adversity, just getting it done, right? It's you get up in the morning one day, oh, I don't feel like posting, I don't feel like making calls, I don't you it's not as easy when you're working for yourself, right? You have nobody, you don't have any bosses looking over your shoulder telling you what to do, right? It really comes from that inner drive and that consistency to get it done and just to lock in, and really that routine, right? Which is again, it's not an easy thing to do, right? That whole mental aspect, it's not easy, but that's sort of, like I said, that's what I want, like the core principles of my brand to be, right? Like I'm finding deals. If I'm wholesaling, I'm not trying to withhold any information from people. I'm being honest. I'm being upfront with what I paid for, what I'm looking to get, of what I'm looking to do with the properties, right? Just that whole, I think that really goes a long way, right? Just being honest and upfront. And really, it really matches up with my character because that's how I am, right? I mean, it just from kind of, hanging
You're
out for a
very
little bit
blunt.
now and doing the, exactly. I'm very direct. I'm upfront. I don't really mince my words or anything. I don't really like to sugarcoat, right? I'm just very, I said, just very upfront and honest with what I'm thinking, right?
So, have you ever read X by Grant Cardone?
No, that's probably another one I need to buy.
So, I mean, that one's a really good book. He talks about no matter what story, how boring, how lame, or whatever, you tell your story and you tell it often. So, when you started, what you're learning, what you believe in. Like for him, he talks about himself being back in the day, the slums, a drug addict, and where he came from to where he's at. And that's his full drive. So that's one thing I have trouble trying to document is, well, I'm still pretty young, It's like we talk about, being 28 years old or whatever. But I guess, Caleb's way younger than I am. He's like 18, I think, or 19 getting started in this. So
Yeah.
it's crazy because to me, it's like, I used to think, how am I going to get, lenders? They look at me like I'm young, I mean? But then I'm like, how much tougher is it for Caleb? But I guess if you got the facts and you got credibility, then it's not a problem finding lenders, right? Like, I mean, I talk to a lot of students. I work with a lot of students. And it's nice to see that they actually reach out to me because it means that, they're thinking about me. They know that I'll help them. Like Ben says, give, and then take.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that's one thing that we're really trying to do with this as well, right? Is shine a light on our community, right? That's why we're bringing on some guests as well, right? Some other students to showcase what they're doing, their struggles, right? They're all in like everybody's sort of at a different stage. Some people are a little bit further ahead. They've had a couple of properties. They've already been in the business for a little bit. We have people who are real estate agents. So, they would understand the business a hell of a lot more than I would, not coming from real estate at all. We have other people who just have money, right? Who want to be lenders, who want to find people like us who are finding the deals and being able to provide that incentive, right? For them to lend their money, to know that their money is going to a good spot and that they're able to get a return. And all that, again, all that comes from your plan, your business motto, your organization, what you're looking to do. Because if you don't have all that stuff organized and focused and zeroed in on what exactly you want to do, how are you able to sell it to somebody? Right? Like they want to hear, I mean, like you just said, Grant Cardone, right? They want to hear your story over and over, right? It has to be consistent. It has to be the same thing, right? And that's really what business is, right? You want that stability, you want that plan in place. One thing that actually I got from my last one-on-one call was putting together this like one-page attack and conquer plan, and I actually got that from Tony. And it makes sense. And I mean, you really need to zero in on what your business is and what it is. It's basically one page that outlines exactly what you want to do, right? So it says who you are, right? Basically your story, what you're looking to do, what your business is, right? What you do, where you're looking to wholesale, you're looking for long-term holds, BRRRR method, right? You're looking to fix and flip. Just what your business does, right? And what you're providing to the customer, right? If you have any proof of what you've done, If you've done previous, even if you're new, that's fine as well, right? You start off that I'm a new investor, I'm looking to get into the market. I have a mentorship program, that sort of thing. Just whatever stage you're at, right? At least just put it on paper so that it's more organized and concise. And again, you have to put some thought into it too, right? On exactly how you're selling your business, right? Because the better you have a handle on that, the more likely it is that a lender or a buyer or somebody is going to want to work with you because you've already put in a lot of this effort up front and a lot of this thought to outline your business and your strategy and everything. Whereas a lot of people, I mean, like Ben says too, they learned how to wholesale from a couple of YouTube videos, and they got a form, and now they're just throwing it out there and seeing what sticks and seeing what happens, right? That's not what we're looking to do, right? We're looking to build a sustainable business that we're able to scale up and grow and eventually get to that level where we have time freedom to do whatever the hell we want, right? So this was actually, it was a great idea, and I'll shoot it over to you as well. I don't know if he mentioned this to you,
No,
but
I'd love to get it out though.
yeah, he actually, which was awesome too, right? I mean, Tony's crazy, right? He's one of the top wholesalers in Canada, and he
Yeah.
started where we started, right, from nothing. So, and I guess this was one of the things that maybe Ben's program had taught earlier, right? But I don't know if he's really brought it up for now, but I think it's a great idea, right? And like I said, it outlines what your business is, right? Who you are, what you're looking to do, if you have any evidence, and why people would want to invest with you or use you, right? You can say we're aiming to give lenders double-digit returns, right? If we're looking, because I mean his business is wholesaling, right? Or so you're saying, okay, we're looking to at least save our buyers or something $20,000 on average with commissions and fees and that sort of thing. Basically, what you're offering that other people aren't offering.
Kind of like that blue ocean strategy, right? And then
Yeah,
all the red oceans, what separates you.
yeah, exactly. And you're really putting your thought into that, and you're putting it on paper, and you're just putting it on one sheet. And this is one thing that I need to do, and then just print it out and literally stick it on your wall in front of you. That when you're making calls and you're doing your thing, like it's there. This is your goal, this is your game plan, and this is what you're looking to do, right?
Like you were saying, for new people getting into this that have no experience, no history, no nothing. I don't know if it's the right way to say it, but for me, I would recommend piggyback off someone else's credibility.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what we do, like people do with Ben, right? You're with a group of investors. Our mentor just flipped over how many properties, because that's one way to get started and also build trust with people. Because if someone that has done this all, like Ben, trusts you, he can at least recommend you to lenders, or it just helps build that extra credibility to start, right? So again, another good reason why it's always good to have a mentor to start out. Because actually during this week, so this week I've been busy trying to, lock down cheaper deals and all that, and help Bailey with the real estate. Now I come across a deal here in PA. It was like $40,000, but it is not in a good area at all. One of my buddies just bought a house in that same area for a rental. It's like kind of like a Section 8, but the Canadian version of it. It's like
Okay.
low income housing. So I sent him this other one. I'm like, hey, dude, why not just, pull it, whatever you can out of that house, the equity there, and buy the one beside it. Then you got two rentals side by side. As much as I try to push him into this mentoring program and push him to, the Facebook group and to see what we're doing, he says, nah, you know what? I'll have this rental for a year, save up, then I'll look at buying another one. So you're trying to do the slow method when we're all excelling. It really makes me think, okay, so you know what? A lot of people think like that.
Mhm.
And it's crazy because, I probably wouldn't on the same path as well. I mean, another person at work, he's trying to pull the equity out of his house right now to buy deals. And he's looking at the same deals that I'm looking at. So it's like, okay. So I said to him, well, why don't you just lock it down and find a lender? Well, I don't want to borrow money from people. I'd rather use my own money. Well, then you're not going to excel very fast or grow very fast, because you're going to be, again, get told no. Your debt to loan ratio or whatever it is, debt to service ratio is going to be way out. So that's why, again, like building a brand that you want people to know what you're doing and help them out so they can grow as well. But it just threw me off seeing everyone's mindset. I thought, maybe people would actually listen, but they just don't.
Well, and again, it's tough, right? Because a lot of people think that same way. We're thinking a little bit differently because again, we've joined this community and they've taught us differently, right? Because really, you can only scale up so far using your own money or using the bank's money. Once you get to a couple of properties, they do not want to loan to you anymore. Well, and it's also because the banks are not designed for that, right? The banks are designed for like consumer loans, first-time home buyers, maybe if you have a couple of renters, a couple of investment properties, that sort of thing. But they're not built for long, like scale up, right? And bigger investments and that sort of thing, right? They're not investment banks, right? They're consumer banks.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to minimize their risk as much as possible as well, right, from their end. But again, there's other avenues, right? That's why you're going to find private lenders. That's why you're educating people, right? There's
Yeah.
lots of people sitting on equity, just have RSPs just sitting there basically making nothing, right? And they don't know that there's other options, right? They don't know that they can pull a home equity line of credit because they're thinking, but now I'm borrowing against my house, right? So if I don't get this money back, and I don't pay it back, right? It's extra risk I'm taking on for what, right? But then if you educate them, no, it's not that. It's, we're looking for deals, right? So if you're
Mm-hmm.
willing to loan me that money, I'm willing to give you say 10%, 12% and pay you back in 6 months or 12 months, right? So rather than it just sitting there and doing nothing, you can actually make money on it. And then it's all leveraged against a property, right? Against a tangible asset, right? A hard asset. So if something, God forbid happens and you don't pay them back or whatever, they are the first mortgager, right?
Absolutely.
Their name is on that property. And then we're already looking to buy at a discount. So, if we're buying a property at 75% less than fair market value, right, you're already buying into 25% equity on that property. Even if, and again, that's explaining it to like consumer lenders and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
people that don't really understand. So if whatever happens, you're now guaranteed because this is your property and you can sell it for whatever you want and you'll probably still make money on that because we're buying at a discount right off the bat, right? So a lot of it is just it's that education piece and getting over it because we're not taught this, right? Nobody is taught this. And the people that know it have been in the business for a while or, they've had other mentors or people that have already done it and have taught them how it works, right? How
Yeah.
money works. And it's getting over that whole mentality that no, you're not just using your money to go buy a new car, right? Or, to buy some depreciating assets or whatever, right? Whatever you want to buy it on, right? To go, watch the Blue Jays game, right? That they
That's
just
one way to
lost.
wreck your
And people,
reputation really
yeah,
fast.
exactly. And people spent $6,000 on a ticket, no, you're loaning money to somebody who's going to make you more money on that, right? So it's using your money to make more money. And it's a hard concept to understand. And even for me too, right? Growing up with that immigrant mentality, if you don't have it, you don't buy it, don't get yourself into debt and that sort of thing. Whereas, anybody who's super wealthy, they love debt. They use
Yeah.
debt to their advantage as leverage to gain more, right? So it's just, it really is counterintuitive to what we're taught growing up, right? So it's just sort of
Mm-hmm.
breaking that mental barrier.
It's funny though because I mean I've read a lot of books now, and I read the one about Dave Ramsey there, and it's funny how many people contradict each other. From topics of how to grow wealth. Everyone's
For
got their own
sure.
different paths. Because in his book he says, not to use OPM and to save up $1,000 and kind of build wealth the slow way. But on the topic of branding and reputation. So I'm curious. When I first met you, we talked about the podcast. You instantly said, "Yeah, hey, I'd love to do it." And we did a few episodes of the podcast, and I said, "Hey, Jeff, we got some houses here up for like 50 grand or less. Would you be interested in going in on it with me?" Now we've never met in person before. You don't even know really who I am.
Mhm.
What made you say yes to that? I mean, what was like the factors? I'm curious.
Well, because I think we're very aligned on mentality, right? Is what it is, and you seem like a genuine guy, right? And you're always looking to help people out with basically nothing in return and that sort of thing. So I mean, just that trait alone, that personality trait, right? And I'm a pretty good judge of character, right? And just through our conversations and that sort of thing, I think it would have been a great idea, right? And
Mm-hmm.
also, again, like you said, it's borrowing that credibility too, right? We're part of the same community. We have a lot of people who are thinking the same way and looking to build. So if I was going to do it with somebody and sort of build and invest, right, it'll be with people that already sort of understand what we're looking to do and that process. And to be honest, like I don't, it's not like I have any connections out in Saskatchewan. The price points look good, right? On that aspect too, right? The price points look good. The rental values look good. It seems like a good investment. And in the end, everything would be on paper anyways, right? It would all
That's
that's the thing. It would all be on paper. We would be going through lawyers. We would be, if it's under a business or a corp or something like that. Like I said, everything would already be outlined to protect both of us.
I
And
have
you're
to pay
not going
you
to do it
back
alone, right?
in canola.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Or deer meat.
Dear.
Yeah. But again, you're not, and yeah, it does suck. Sometimes people get screwed over, right? Partnerships don't go well. I think that's people who are thinking along different lines. And, a lot of times it comes from family too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
You can go into business with family and it can go completely wrong. And then you still need to see these fucking people down the road at, Thanksgiving dinner or something. And it's just, they said I'm not a completely distrusting person to begin with, right? And like I said, just a pretty good judge of character as well, and just how we get along and how we're thinking about things, right? Yeah,
Mhm.
why not? Why not partner up and see what happens and hope for the best, right? Because a lot of it is community and networking, and it's always easier when you have 3 or 4 people moving in the same direction than trying to get there on your own.
So now, does the amount make a difference as well, compared to, let's say, a 50 grand house to, let's say, an $800,000 house?
Yeah, for sure. Because I mean, if a house is 50 grand, I can throw that on my visa, right? Like that's not. But you have to think about it too. It's all about like relative numbers and values, right? You would need like 10 or 20 properties at 50,000 to sort of grow that equity base and all that thing, because you're not going to get as much appreciation. There's not going to be as much upside. There's still going to be a lot of work for, potentially 5, 10,000, and it's if you're willing to grind that out to build your base to sort of invest in the larger projects. But then, there's the advantage of that where it's a little bit less risk and it's more accessible and it's easier to get in. But you could basically make all of that, with one property that's 800, 900,000 that you get on a crazy discount, and you can find a lender and unload it, right? So, it's all relative, right? It's all relative.
So as you grow bigger in the future, what are some of the avenues you want to go for marketing? Like for me, I use TikTok now with Hustle and Homes. I got Facebook. I'm looking at doing YouTube, which is just another thing for me to post on. I market through Kijiji with e-flyers that way, which now Kijiji charges you for that, which sucks. Facebook Marketplace. So what avenues are you planning on going down? Same ones, or stick to one certain platform?
I'm not sure. I mean, like I said, right now we have our podcast rolling. I know I need to start posting some videos on Instagram too, little 15, 20-second reels. And at least the good thing about that is you post to Instagram, you can kind of cross post to Facebook right away, which is good. There's that link up, right? The TikTok, I mean, TikTok's interesting. I think that would be good to sort of build our fan base for the podcast and build that out. It's a whole different audience, right? And I'm sure you can still pull leads from that as well. But I think you can probably pull more qualified leads from Facebook, from the investor groups and the like real estate groups and all that sort of thing. Whereas TikTok, that's mostly people just like consuming entertainment. They just want to see like dumb videos and laugh at them. But
It's funny that you say that though, because in my bird dog group we have Marcella Nicolosi, I think her name is. She does the Private Lending Queen, the 30-minute podcast, right? And I had a conversation with her. I think it was on Zoom or whatever, and she was talking about marketing herself. She wants to do a 30-second podcast because people's attention span changes in a matter of seconds. And she does reels on YouTube. And I told her, start doing TikTok. Post them on TikTok. It's not that hard to just quickly take that 30-second podcast and put it up. Because, I mean, when you go on TikTok and you scroll through it and you look at those car salespeople, they pull so many leads from there, like the Mercedes dealers and all that stuff, where they actually fight over who gets to keep the leads. Like there was that one guy there, MG Jared is his name on there. And the dude had enough leads off of that he actually quit his job as a car salesperson now, and he travels around teaching social media and how to get leads from that.
Okay.
Because Marcinella said, well, isn't it just a bunch of teenagers posting dancing videos? And
that's what I thought too.
Exactly.
That's what I thought too, right?
It's a missed opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's kind of my mentality too, right? But I guess it's everybody, right? Everybody has these things, right? So I guess whatever funnels. Yeah, and you can see that's where I still need to learn all this stuff, right? Like, do I need to record the video? Can I post from like Instagram right into TikTok, or is that separate? Or do I need to now download this thing and edit it and throw it on there? Like, all this shit is kind of new to me.
Yeah. Well, you see, in some of the editing apps, well, you use Adobe. I use CapCut and Canva for marketing. What other apps do you use that you would recommend to people?
I mean, I think that's pretty much it, right? Really know what else you would need. And I mean, even the Adobe, like it's nice. There's a lot of features and stuff on there. Even they do have some aspects of like image generation and AI and all that kind of stuff in there too. But CapCut does the same thing and it's free, right?
Yeah.
It's just with CapCut, you have the little watermark, right? That's the only thing. Yeah,
I don't
it
know if I
shows,
do
when you're
too.
done it, yeah, after your clip is done, it'll show, CapCut at the end, right? With as
I cut that out.
yeah, Adobe doesn't have that, right? But really it's doing the same thing. But there's other ones too, right? What was his name? Aditya was saying like he uses edits where he'll
Oh, yeah.
literally record the video, throw it in there. It'll add the captions, add the music quickly, and then then he just cross posts it wherever he wants to, right? And I guess for me, it's just coming up with what the hell I'm going to talk about
Yeah.
because I do like I want it to be somewhat entertaining as well because I like not so much controversial like Matt Piche does the whole hating Canada thing and I don't want to do that. I understand why it's interesting and I understand the sentiment because this country's very different from when we grew up.
Mhm.
I got basically 10 years on you, right? So, I still grew up before internet, before that kind of stuff, right? Where we had to literally remember each other's phone numbers to
Yeah.
call each other. We would go knock on each other's doors. Okay, let's go play some soccer or something like that, right? It was a different time. It was more simple. We didn't have, nobody really paid attention to the news and there wasn't social media and the brainwashing and all that kind of campaign just to get like people doom scrolling and the political
Next
stuff and all
episode,
that.
conspiracy theories.
Yeah, well,
Just
I got a lot of those. We can get into that for sure, right? But I do like his style of branding and trying to make it more relatable and entertaining just by his tone and the way he speaks and that sort of thing, right?
yeah.
Because really that's how you become memorable, right? That's how you stick into people's minds. And being a little bit controversial, it does help with that. It's just you're now kind of you divide your audience.
Well, like Trump says, there's no such thing as bad publicity.
Yeah,
Whether they're
yeah.
talking bad about you or just talking about you, it's still getting out there. They're still marketing you for you. Just like
And
Andrew Tate.
I agree with that. I agree with that when you're already at a certain level of income, where you don't have to
Yeah.
worry about, I guess, getting shut down or anything like that, and you have that base already. But again, that's not really an avenue I want to go down, right? Whether
See,
or
I was
not,
talking to someone and they said, you know what? Like, the more popular you get, the more hated you'll get.
of course.
So, for me, it's like, okay, well, I can't wait till I get to the point of being hated because once I'm hated, then I know I've made it. Because then that's when
Yeah,
jealousy kicks in and they either want to be you and that's what makes them mad. Like, I read all of Matt Piche's comments and it is crazy how wild some of those comments get because though you can't find deals and he just, screws people over for money. And it's like, wow, you guys don't even take the time to actually go to one of his webinars. I mean, his webinars are free. Just go check it out and just listen to him. I mean,
Is-
yeah, he's got a lot of arrogance, which is, I guess, arrogance or confidence. It depends how you want to see it. But you know what though, it helps you build trust because it's like, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. He's making deals. He doesn't care about little things, right? He just does his own stuff. Like he says, now that he's got enough money, he doesn't have to care what people think about what he says. He can actually just speak his mind and do what he wants. And I guess that could be a crazy thing, but it's also a good thing. Not being controlled by anybody.
yeah, it would be good. It would be good. But like, I guess, that's where you have to sort of sit down and put some thought into how you want to come across and how you're going to brand yourself and that sort of thing, right? Whereas, with Ben, see, that was one of the things that sort of attracted me to his program was one, he's very much results driven, right? He does, he gives out a lot of content and a lot of his time, his personal time that really he doesn't need to do that. He doesn't need to stay extra on these meetings that we have and these challenges and put all that together to basically give students as much of his time as possible and his knowledge, right? He doesn't have to do that. He could, okay, here's my 2 hour block. That's it. See you later. See you next week. He doesn't do that. And he's very genuine with his approach, right? And he doesn't have that sort of polarizing mentality, right? He tries to keep it, how do I say it, as palatable to everybody as possible. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like he's not sitting there hating on Canada, right? He knows full well like that's where he built his wealth first. That's where he learned. You know, even though he's living in Arizona now, which I don't blame him, right? But you never really hear him shitting on the country, anything like that. Whereas some other
Maybe the
people
prime
do.
minister. That's about it.
Yeah, but that's different. That's not the country, right? That's the government. And I mean that guy was a bit of a joke, anyways. But still, they really
Yeah.
all are. None of them are cool, right? They're all ridiculous.
But it's also night and day, though, when you look at one of Ben's webinars and you go to his Zoom calls compared to Matt Piche's. I don't know if have you been on any of Matt's calls?
Yeah.
So Ben, he sees all of us, turn your cams on. He wants to interact with each one and one of you. You go on one of Matt's calls, and it starts at the time he says it's going to start. And as soon as that time that it ends, it is done. Like, he gives you a 1 hour slot, and that is it. There's no overtime, and everybody's cams are off. It's literally just a listen and text, right?
It's not as personal.
Yeah.
And that's where that's where I find, anyways, that's where Ben's approach kind of attracted me a little bit more, because you do have that that sort of personal one-on-one. Like, he knows who we are, he shouts out our podcast, that sort of thing. Like, he's paying attention to what we're doing, and really he really wants all of us to have success, right? Whereas I guess Piche, he's throwing out the information, do what you want with it, right? I know it works, I'm confident in that, and if you take my lessons, whatever you want to do with it, you do with it. If you don't do anything with it, it's up to you, right? And that's it, kind of hands off, and good luck.
What I like, though, is his group chat on his app that he uses, that Circle app or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That does respond back pretty fast. Like, if you private
he
message
does.
him, and it is quick. Same with Andrew. They're pretty quick at helping, which is also
sure.
nice. I mean, there's pros and cons for both situations, of course. But just that duo together is it's a good team, right? Having both, listening to both of them and how they both do things, especially with go ahead.
Yeah, really, like, ultimately the message is really the same. You're looking to find properties at a discount, and you have your multiple exits, right? If it's good enough, if the margins are good, you fix and flip it. You do long-term hold, or you wholesale it, right? So really, like, the fundamentals are still the same, right? It's just their personality and their approach may be a little bit different, but there's a lot to learn from both of them, right? Again, they've both done it. They're both in the game. They're both super successful with it. And really, if you're going to listen to anybody and sort of build your brand and that sort of thing, and scale up your business, you're going to listen to people who have done it, right? Not people who are telling you, oh no, the market's no good. Oh, housing prices are crashing right now. Oh, nobody has money. Everybody's being overtaxed. You shouldn't invest now. You basically, you got to hold your fucking nuts and ride out the wave and see what happens, right? Just that. And again, that's that scarcity mindset that we're looking to get over, where you see it. All the wealthy people, all the smartest people, they're like, no, this is a great fucking opportunity. Start buying. If you can buy, start buying. Like, are you crazy? What are you talking about? What, do you want to buy when everything's increasing? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, okay. It's, if you can get in and out quickly and you have a process for it, sure, right?
Yeah.
But how many people, especially here in Toronto, like the condo market and everything, how many people got bit buying at that height, right? At that height of COVID. And now, they brought properties that for 1.4, $1.5 million, and you see them on the market now for 800,000. Like, that's huge. That's huge, right? Whereas these guys weren't buying. They weren't buying at that time, right? They were probably unloading some of their assets to get some cash in hand for when the dip started happening, right? So it's like it's a reverse mentality. So when people aren't excited about real estate and they say, "Oh, you're going to lose all your money. Now's not the time. You don't want to get into that. You don't want to do this. You don't want to do that," right? That's actually when you start fucking buying and you start looking into it.
Like
right? When people are all excited, when people are all excited, oh, the market's going crazy. What are you going to buy at that time for? At least you bought when it went down. Now, at that point, that's when you hold on to your assets to let them increase and, maybe unload a couple here or there or whatever, right? Or remortgage to pull out more equity to invest more, right? That's also a good strategy. But again, it's that whole thinking of, when people are scared, that's when you buy, right?
Warren Buffett. When people are greedy, that's when you should be fearful. When people are fearful, that's when you should be greedy.
Exactly. And now's that time. We're literally in a huge decrease right now, and it's across the board. It's not just Canada.
Absolutely.
It's in the States too, right? It's across the board. Everybody's kind of shit scared of what's going to happen, right? And again, a lot of that is with the news too, and the tariffs and war and ceasefires and all the environmental shit, and like it's just there's so much crap going on that really the markets, they don't care about any of that stuff, right?
Did you ever see Matt's video there where he shows the timelines and he goes like, Y2K, people were afraid, nothing stopped, market still kept growing. Then he goes to the next thing where it's like, the bird flu, the wars. And he goes, you see, it's like every couple of years there's some fear that comes out, everyone's afraid to do something. But nothing stops. The market doesn't drop, a huge amount. You just got to keep buying. And like Ben says, people that have started out and they did buy a bad deal, that doesn't mean anything, just buy more. The answer is buy more, make up for it.
Yeah. Leverage it, right? Leverage it and use equity, or if you are going to sell a property, make sure you know where that's going to go into, that it'll make you more money, right? It's either a bigger project or a more like you're getting into like luxury rentals or something that's going to make you more money than just sitting on the appreciation of that property. And that's all a huge learning curve, right? It is. It's a huge learning curve, and it's knowing the markets and really being in tune with that, which we're getting a lot better at because we're constantly looking at houses. We're constantly calling real estate agents. We're basically getting a temperature of where the market is right now. And I'm not going to lie, it is a little bit difficult right now because it's that whole mentality. Nobody wants to admit, or not admit, then like nobody wants to eat that their property is worth less than what they think it is. Where it's your mind is not going to dictate the price. The market is going to dictate the price. So that's where you see there's so much inventory right now. And like if people are selling their homes, there's a reason that they need to sell it. Whatever excuse a realtor gives you or anything, doesn't matter. There's a reason why it's on the market, and they want to let go of that asset. If they want to retire, if they want, that doesn't matter, right? None of the details don't really matter. They still want to unload it. But some people are more willing to sit on it, right? That's why you're seeing homes sit on the market for 100 days, 200 days. Like I've seen homes sit on the market for almost fucking 2 years now. And they still don't want to get over the fact that it's not, you're not sitting on $1 million asset anymore. Maybe at the height of COVID, sure, but it's not there anymore. The market's telling you that. And, if you want to sell it, you sell it. If not, you don't, right? You just sit on it and basically let it crumble. Or if you can, you hold it until the next ride up.
Yeah.
Right?
You know what's funny though? You're talking about houses sitting on the market for over 100 days or more. Did you know there's actually a lot of politics behind realtors? Like my mother's been selling her house there in BC. It's been on the market now for over a whole year. There wasn't very many showings. No one really put offers in on it. So she switched realtors. And she found out that if one realtor doesn't like the other realtor, then they'll do everything possible not to show that house. And it's the same thing here, where if you've got, a bad reputation with other realtors, they'll purposely go to the way not to show your house. They'll find everything else around you, which is sad that you have to, that's a factor, right? But it makes a huge difference.
And I mean, even for us, like what we're looking to do, you got to think like we're looking to get these properties at a deep discount of where they are right now, which are more than likely already a little bit discounted just because of where the market is, right? The market's been decreasing, so these people are thinking, 2 years ago my house was worth 500,000. Shit, it's been coming down. Now it's probably worth about 450, 440, right? And then we're looking to come in and buy those at around like 300,000. So obviously there's politics involved there because that's less commissions for the realtors, right? And some of them, that's where they're focusing on, where really the way I think of it, like if I was a realtor in that business, I would try to sell as many properties as possible, right? So basically present every offer, and I get it. They're trying to, they say they're trying to protect their seller, right? Which is what I hear all the time. I'm just looking for the best interest of my seller and this and that. And some of them are, for sure, right? Some of them, you could tell that some of these realtors, they're really trying to let go of the property, but the sellers
Yeah.
they're just stuck on that price and that's what they want. And there's nothing they can do, right? Other times you can tell that, you know what, the realtor doesn't want to do business with you at all. They're willing to wait for some better offers or whatever, right, to get
Yeah.
their commission, right? So there's two ends of the story there, right? And it's hard to kind of judge where it's coming from. But like Ben said, 80% of what they tell you is bullshit, right? And I don't like to knock on realtors too much on the podcast because we have people in our community that are realtors, so they may take it personally, that sort of thing, and that's not how I'm trying to come across at all. It's just it is what
But
it is. It's a sales game, right? It's a sales game, so you have to kind of sift through the nonsense.
another thing though is for branding, your first impression is everything.
For sure.
Because like with Bailey, when she started out, I needed a slogan. I needed a logo. I needed, how do I want to brand Bailey as a real estate agent, right? Because if you're new in the industry, like in Ontario, it's way harder because there's like a million agents. But here, you probably got maybe 100 and some agents in my area. So starting off fresh with no clientele, no history, how do you do it? And the way I based her off of was honest, reliable, and there for our clients. And just that customer service aspect. A lot of these bigger agents won't show your house. They'll get their assistant to do it. Bailey handles everything herself. We'll put in any offer, even if it's like $2K lower than the asking price. Because you know what? The way I see it is as soon as that offer's on paper, the negotiation starts. Now it gets serious. It's like going into an auction. People get excited. They start bidding and bidding and bidding and bidding to get to that right price. And like I said, a lot of agents want that big commission. I'll take the crumbs because the crumbs will equal the big commission eventually. Once you build that clientele and the people see how much you work and how hard you work for it, even for the littlest amount, they got friends. And you know what? They'll spread the word and more people will come. That's one thing about using other people to market for you. Like, for example, all of our students, they're sharing our stuff. Well, if just one student brought in 10 people and 10 students shared, it's 100 new people into our podcast. So it's just crazy how you can multiply the marketing that way. And just because the way she's doing things now as a realtor, we have gained a lot of new clientele. We've gained some pretty big clientele as well because they were saying that their old agents wouldn't put an offer in for them because it was insulting. So as soon as they cut them off. You know what? I've seen people lose deals because they want to put an offer on a house. Well, the agents get back to you for 3 days. Now the house is sold and you missed out on the opportunity. So we pretty much tell all of our clients 24 hours. You want to message us at midnight? Go right ahead. Tell us what you want. We'll get you in showing the property the very next day or whatever. And that really boosted us up on that. I mean, a lot of agents don't like her for it. And we've already had some, conflict between other agents, but at least then you're doing something right. Unfortunately, it's sad to say, but if they're jealous or they're getting angry of you, it's because you're growing pretty fast.
Yeah, and I mean, you're not looking to step on anybody's toes or anything. You're just looking to get things flowing, right? And that's what you said. It's really about customer focus, right? And yeah, providing a service to your customer that other people can't do or that they're not willing to do or anything like that, right? So I think that's really the key aspect here, right? Is just being very customer focused, right? And I guess for us, our customers are our potential buyers, our potential lenders, right? Reaching out like our community members, people we want to partner up with, right? So if you have that mentality, and I mean, I understand that again, just coming from private industry, right? Coming from cannabis industry, really, like our customers, they were our patients, they were people buying at the stores and that sort of thing, right? So we were very heavily focused on good customer relations. If somebody called in and had a complaint or had an issue with one of the products, right, we would respond to them right away and just have that sort of like that personal touch, right? And it wouldn't be like AI generated responses or anything like that, right? Like we would call them. We would call our patients directly to see what was going on, and that would be within 24 hours, right? Just sort of that quick response time. So that's huge, right? That's huge. And again, if you can build your brand around that, now it's just sort of shifting focus on what our next customer base is, right? It's people looking to sell their homes, right? People looking to fund our projects and people looking to potentially buy our deals, right? If we're going to wholesale or something like that.
So back to the topic of, your first impression is everything. When you first seen me in your first impression, like for you, it was, you know what, you can talk well, great composure, honest, straightforward. I was like, okay, you're going to be perfect for the podcast. When you see me, was it like handsome, intelligent, perfect, nice mustache?
Not even close. Actually, to be honest, it was, when I first joined the community, right? Because you had that reputation of helping people out when they needed it with their marketing and their branding and their presentations and outreach, building their communities, that sort of thing. Ben was basically like shouting you out for it, right? I'm like, okay, you know what? This guy's been part of the community. He's helping people out. It seems like a decent dude. Like you're not looking for something in return, and you're not looking for the praise, right? Which is huge. There's a lot of people who do something expecting something in return, whereas I'm not like that either. I have that same sort of mentality. So then I thought, okay, obviously this guy's all right. He's known within the community. He's good at networking. He wants to help people out. He can't be that bad. You know what I mean?
Can't be
Like
that bad.
no, that's like, he can't be that bad. He seems like a decent dude. And then, like I said, you were looking to do the podcast, right? And you reached out, I guess, just because, like, on my end, like, I know that I do give a pretty decent first impression, just just with new people, right? I don't know what it is with me. Like, people just want to talk to me for some reason. Even like I'm approachable, right? And I try to give my honest opinion. I'm zeroed in. I try to ask good questions, right? I try to get good feedback. Like, even when we're on the coaching calls or on the training calls, I'll be on there. I'll be making calls. I'll just trying to keep it rolling, right?
Yeah.
I try to crack some jokes here and there, try to keep it light, right? Try to keep it entertaining, that sort of thing, right? So, I'm smart enough to know what's going on and communicate, but I try to be as friendly and try not to take it too serious either, right? Try not to take myself too seriously and, have that kind of dual aspect to my personality. And people seem to resonate with that for some reason. I have no idea why, but it just seems to work.
So what was your first impression of Nigel?
I don't know. I only spoke to him. He's an asshole.
See, look at that. One phone call, and that's your impression on him, right? And then that's
Well,
my
of course.
impression of him too.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the guy's telling me I don't know what I'm doing and I'm wasting my time and all this stuff. Like, what kind of customer service is that? Right? It was like I was bothering him by calling him about a property that he had listed. Like, this is your business, man. This is what you chose to do with your life. At least be somewhat decent when you pick up the phone, right? Somewhat pleasant. Like, I don't know.
I don't know how they can be so hostile though, because I mean, it's not like it's just one agent. There's multiples of agents that are just either extremely arrogant, like I only sell $1 million homes, or why are you calling me? What are you doing? Well, it's like you're a real estate agent. We're supposed to be calling you.
Your number is
one of our
posted.
clients is looking at buying a commercial property, right? So he called the listing agent, spoke with him. Listing agent was all happy, giving him the details, and oh yeah, you know what? I'll send you everything over, and we'll get this thing closed. We've had a good reputation with this client, so he uses us for everything. And he says, you know what? I already have an agent. That guy's his voice just changed instantly. He's like, you know what? Then she can go get all the information for you.
Yeah.
And they're all from the same brokerage. And I'm like, wow, like, how's that good for your reputation? So then that instantly turned my guy off on it. And he's like, yeah, you know what? I'll go talk to her right now and deal with this myself.
Well, because they're in competition with each other too, even within a brokerage, right? It is. I almost liken it to like Formula One. It's you have your teammate, right? But there's not really any teammates. They're all just individual drivers.
Absolutely.
Trying to, striving for that championship and being the best, right? Even if there's two Ferrari drivers, they're always going to be battling each other out because really it's, it's still an individual game, right? It's, it's like all guts and or no guts and no glory, that sort of thing, right? So, it's
really. See, I've also worked multiple different industries, right? And I've sold jewelry for quite some time as well. I was really big into watches, and again, it was commission based. So when you're working in that kind of environment as well, just like any other sales job, it's crazy how, again, people judge you on your first impression. Like, people would walk in and you know what? You got the ones that come in with suits or whatever, and everyone would fight to go sell them stuff. I treated everybody equally. If someone came in with ripped jeans and a tore down hoodie, I'll treat you the same because you know what? They would buy. They would buy based on how you presented yourself or whatever and how you treat them. Because I've seen people get treated poorly, and just the way someone gets talked to, even if they got money or not, that just turns away the sale fast. And I used to be the top salesperson because, again, I would treat everyone equally on that, and it used to make them all upset because you just never know who would come through. And that kind of goes hand in hand with this as well because, if you're a lender that doesn't have money or someone that wants to be a lender that, eventually you're either going to know somebody that does have money, or eventually you're going to have money. And at least then you'll think of me when it comes back to it. And to me, that makes a
Yeah,
big difference.
I'm very much the same way. Like I don't judge on what somebody looks like or if they have an accent, if they're stumbling on words, anything like that. It's literally based on your character and how you respond and how you treat people. If you're an asshole on the phone, if I'm calling you and you're being a dickhead, obviously I'm not going to respond well to that. Even though I'm going to be nice, I'm still going to be nice, whatever, because there's no point in me firing back, right? It's not going to get anywhere. But again, it's not somebody that I want to work with, right? Whereas there's other people that are very nice, they're personable, and you'll keep in touch, you'll keep in contact with them, and you never know what's going to happen, right? Like I said, a lot of it is based on attitude and character, and really, it may not be like super easy to judge that, right? But I mean, you can get a lot of information just by talking to somebody for 5 minutes, right? You can kind of see where their head is at, and what their mentality is.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I guess the biggest thing that I just want for people to take away from this is repetition builds recognition. So the more you do it, the more you get out there, whether it's good or bad content, it's still getting out there into the public's eye, and people will get to know you. Keep it raw, keep it real, and you'll keep building. We're already actually over the 1 hour mark. Do you think we're good to tie this up?
Yeah, I think so. I think this one for me anyways, it was a little bit more difficult to talk about just because again, I haven't really been into that marketing and branding space, and I'm still very much learning all of it. But I guess from what have learned, right, you just kind of come across as genuine, right? Don't change your personality, right? Your personality is you, right? You can only really be yourself. Once you start pretending to be somebody else, or trying to do things that are sort of out of character for you, it's just going to come across as weird and not genuine, and it's not going to look right. For me, cracking jokes and talking shit and doing that sort of thing is very much in character, which is what I'm looking to do some of these videos. I just need to get over that mental, who gives a shit what it looks like, right? I don't really care what other people think what it looks like, but it's just me watching it back. It's like, man, is this really what I look like? This is what I sound like here. This is what I'm saying. Like it's just weird, right? But I just need to get over that and start posting some content and throwing it out there and seeing what happens.
See, then you just need to do what Santiago does, because he didn't know where to start with videos. I said, you know what? Just take 30-second clips of whatever you're doing, whether you're going for a walk, whether you're cooking breakfast. I said, and then just send me the clips, and I will put it together, and we'll post it. And now it's way easier for him. I mean, I got clips of him reading. This sounds so creepy. I got so many clips of Santiago.
Well, it's a good thing he can read, so that's good. That's good. We got that one covered. Santiago can read, so that's good.
But yeah, you know what though, is it's more about just getting it out there. And I guess for all the listeners at home, one thing I want to ask you is, what's one thing you want to be known for in your brand? Comment underneath this if you're watching this. I'm curious. I want to hear it. Other than that, this episode was great for me because it's one thing I enjoy. It's kind of like how Santiago had the routines and the discipline. I got the marketing, and Jeff had every other episode because,
I just talk about whatever, right? So I can just ramble on. I'm basically just filler. I fill gaps. I'm the gap filler. But and one thing actually that I do like what people are doing now is that we're sort of the community as a whole, right? We're kind of shifting gears right now into that sort of brute force marketing campaign where everybody's starting to put videos out there. They're starting to put their clips out there. You see more and more people advertising their webinars, right? Like I just saw Chinadum advertise his webinar.
We shared that one, yeah.
There's more people looking to get their names out there and build that recognition, which we need to do as well. Right. I mean, we have the podcast, but, start doing some individual webinars. And I know we had already talked about that anyways, just to get it out there and just sort of that cross promotion, right? Everybody sharing each other's stuff, sending it out to communities that we don't have access to, right? And just sort of just building that strong base, right?
And if everybody's watching this, I've been thinking about this. Jeff's going to get a Zoom here soon. So I'm thinking about doing a Zoom call, showing everybody how to use Canva, how to use CapCut, just so they can start marketing themselves. I mean, a lot of people are new to that and don't know where to even start with it. So if you're interested in that as well, make sure you guys just comment on this video. But I think we're going to wrap it up here. So I just want to say thanks for tuning in to Hustle and Homes. If this brought you value today, share it with someone building their own path. And remember, keep hustling, keep building. Want to finish it, Jeff?
What was the last one?
Keep closing.
That's it.